On the weekend, Mardi Gras or Alex Greenwich, State MP for Sydney, and Lord Mayor Clover Moore riding on this very car. And this car is black on black with just a touch of black, even the grille's black. Two pulls on the switch and the bonnet's open, where you can see this magnificent M-Power straight 6 331 kilowatt 550 newton meter twin turbo engine. This carbon fibre bracing is a thing of beauty. I've never seen anything quite like it. With the roof up, this coupe looks as cool as hell. Down it looks even cooler. But I think this rear end looks a little bit chubby, and that's to take all of that metal that's folded down into the back. You access the back by clicking the electric boot release, and that's your lot. This is the only space that you have when the roof is down. That's the deflector that goes behind the back seats. That all folds up so that wind doesn't come forward and disturb your do. But look at this, that's all roof. This is all roof mechanism. If you want to get at anything under the back and you can't quite reach in far enough, never fear. Press that button and look what happens. The whole roof raises temporarily so that you can raise that and get at whatever you want, but it won't go down again until you have that firmly in place. When you can then close the boot. There's lots of really cool features like these side vents, and all of these vents actually work. They all actually do something, and there's one line that continues along here all the way back to the taillight. I think that looks smashing. All the external lighting is LED. The taillights, they look smashing at night. And have a look at these wheels. The normal car has 18-inch wheels, but this competition pack has these enormous 20-inch wheels. I think they look absolutely stunning. It is so deeply dished with M badges all over it. You'll notice this has got the M brake calipers, steel vented disc brakes, not the carbon fibre model, which is many more monies. Backseat accommodation is snug. I did have my 14-year-old nephew sitting just here. There's just enough room for a very short boy's legs. The back's not totally bereft of accommodations. It's also got little pop-up cup holders. If you want to access the back seats, you pull this lever forward and then you can move the whole seat forward or backwards with this button. It does take a while. And then the seat goes back to where it was set. Inside, the coupe and convertible has lashings of leather and carbon fibre. And this little button controls these little heated vents in the back of the seats that just waft nice little bits of heated air onto your neck on cold nights. This M4 badge also lights up when you first come towards the car. There's a few cool things that I have to point out. First, the control center. This is the roof opening button, air scarf buttons, and this iDrive controller drives the main screen. Down below is where all the good stuff happens. Do not touch that button, that's traction control. This is throttle control, suspension control, and steering lightness control. And all of those things make your experience much more exciting. Everything in normal mode, and this thing is like Miss Daisy's limousine. But you put any of those into sport or super sport, well, it's sport plus, this thing turns into a fire-breathing, cackling mad woman. It is a sensation. Up here we have some rather cool one-touch buttons, which as you can see are touch sensitive, as well as being able to program with your favorite function. There's a USB port here and another one in the center console. Both of those can connect to the car's systems. There's heated seats and the start button. The dash is just a little bit disappointing. I think this should be all electronic. But at the end of the day, you want to see what the car's like on the road. Starting the M4 is an event. It cackles and spits and carries on. I'm just going to put my hat on because, baby, it's hot outside. One thing about having such firm suspension, even in comfort mode, is that it can be a little rough. But once you're on the move, it's just such a joy. It is a real joy. And even with the windows down, there's not too much wind noise. As you can see from the cameras, the suspension is firm. But by God, it's rewarding. At any time you can press the up or down arrow and the gearbox will go into manual mode. Once it does, it won't go back into automatic mode until you shift the gear lever to the side again. Marvellous. Simply marvellous. Thank you, God. As you go around corners, you can really feel that extra weight. And here in Galston Gorge, although we can't do the speed that would show you just how good this thing is in corners, slow corners are just as good. You virtually don't have to slow down. I'm just going to put it back now in Sports Plus. This road isn't exactly the best, but as I slip down into second and turn into this corner and then back off to that mad cackle, I don't care that I'm only doing 60. Gear changes are super fast once you put it in competition mode. And so many of these things are more rewarding in that really hard as nails mode. The engine is delightful, free spinning. And when it really gets going, reminds me of one of those old Jag straight sixes from the 60s, the one they had in the E-Type. I love that engine so much. And I love this one too. You remember we had the Nissan GTR last week, and that Nissan is 30,000 more expensive than this competition M4. It's much faster to 100. It was 2.7 or thereabouts. This is about 4.5 seconds to 100. And as you clip that manual gear paddle to change up, there's a little bit of a squirm, which is why I say don't ever turn the traction control off. You'd be in for a whole world of hurt. The thing a professional race driver will tell you is when you break traction, like they do on those TV shows, no matter what they say, you've lost control. It's then basically a controlled slide. Now we're going to go around the hairpin. Just going to go as far over as I can, because this one, on some cars, it's quite easy to cock a leg going around the corner. I don't want to cock a leg going around the corner. Tell me this isn't fun. Another hairpin bend. Come on, people. Just got to be a little bit aware of your surroundings when you're on roads like this, because it could go pear-shaped very quickly. Another left-hander here. I'm going to carefully go around. Were there no other cars on the road, I wouldn't have to slow down very much at all. But there are. Fuel consumption, I've got to say, is pretty dreadful when you're giving it the beans. Even though we were fairly gentle on the throttle during the week, we were managing about 18 litres per 100 kilometres around town. And what that meant was we were going through our 60 litre tank in no time flat. The second we hit the highway, however, putting everything in efficiency mode, everything in gentle mode, your fuel consumption improves considerably. Another hairpin. You can tell that this is school run time. There's all of the school mummers out in their SUVs. Oh, I do hope you can hear this magnificent sound on the film. Honestly, this engine is just a delight. The M4 does feel a little bit heavy, as I said, but it's very controlled, very precise. It's like driving a sports shoe that's been strapped to the top of a nuclear bomb. And if I wasn't stuck behind a very ancient Honda Civic, we'd be having some real fun in these corners. But that highlights what I always say about these super quick cars. $181,000 for this M-Pack competition is, where do you go to enjoy cars like this? A track, that's it. Or an Autobahn in Germany. You certainly will not get the maximum enjoyment on a New South Wales road. Certainly not with other New South Wales drivers. Oh dear. Trust a Honda Civic to leech every little bit of fun out of a journey.